Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lady Overlander Radio. Tonight we're speaking all things Rebelle Rally. Stay tuned. Grab your favorite drink, whether it's a coffee, cocktail, or tea, and get ready. It's Ladies' Night on Lady Overlander Radio. Lady Overlander Radio is brought to you by Artemis Overland Hardware, Midland Radio, Timbotus, Go Treads, Wildland Coffee, and Adventure Trail Outfitters, maker of the Overland Shower. Hey, Arla.
Hey, girl, hey.
It's been a minute since we've done a podcast, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
we had a lot going on this summer and early fall, so
Yep.
we've been here and there and at some events, and we did our veterans camp and ride with some female veterans with Oscar Mike Overland. That was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Yeah.
did.
Had a
But
good time.
guess who's back? Back
again. That's right. It's us.
That's us.
And
That's
tonight
us.
we are joined by Emily Miller, founder of the Rebelle Rally, and
Yes,
Team Wild
girl.
Mavens, who just
Yes,
completed their
girl.
rookie year in the Rebelle Rally. So
Hey,
welcome, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. So we're going to start off with Emily. Emily, why don't you give a little bit of background on yourself and kind of you've raced before and done rallies and everything as well, right?
Yeah, that's my background. Back in the day, I was a professional off-road racer, which is very different than the Rebelle. Racing for speed is very different in full-blown race trucks. But I was able to really get to see some amazing parts of the world from competing, and it's a great way to get out and see a place from behind the windshield, basically. And so, yeah, I was a professional racer. I was also a driving coach. I was very fortunate. I raced for the most winning off-road racer in the history of the sport. Rod
Nice.
Hall, he selected me to be on his team. He, coached me. He said, hey, I can teach you how to drive, but you're going to have to learn how to win. And so I did that for a long time, and then also have coached with him for many years. I still have a coaching program. We run anywhere from 400 to 900 people a season through our training programs. We ran 900 people through training this last year, and not all women, like mixed classes as well. And I really wanted to create a world-class rally competition for the vehicles that we drive, not race cars. Race programs are extremely expensive. They're extremely time-consuming. And I wanted it to be in the vehicles that we drive, because I came from driving stock and racing stock manufactured vehicles. And the other thing is I wanted it to be for women, because when I was racing, very, very few women were racing. I was usually the only woman in a race, or one of maybe two women driving out of anywhere from 300 to 1,000 drivers. It was crazy. But I can tell you that it's still that way. People say, oh, there's so many women racing. And I'm still have to say, 2% of the field, maybe?
Yeah.
So I really wanted to do this, but I wanted it to be a world-class rally, and something that was not light, not lightweight, not painted pink, that was truly if you finish this, it is a badge of honor for women. And we just finished our 7th rally.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you, let's break down the different components of the rally. What does the rally consist of each day?
Yeah, well, I'll start kind of with the overview. So it's 10 total days. It is 8 stages. One is an unscored stage, which is our prologue. Great chance to, kind of get a taste of what you're in for, shake off the cobwebs. But then it's 7 stages and meaning 7 full day stages. Days start at 5 a.m. First car off the line at 7 a.m. Stages are normally anywhere from 10 to 10 and a half hours, assuming you don't get lost. And what's interesting too, it's not designed like there's a selective. It is our own, like a selective followed by a transit. It is an all day stage. So pressure's on, pressure cooker for all those 10 and a half hours. And it's divided, it's what we call the Rebelle format. And we made this format from scratch. And it's not easy. In fact, I took about 3 years to really create a format that would work without speed, but also be interesting, work on public lands, and then be something. Then it took a long time to create a scoring system, an automated scoring system. So it's created, it's made up of 2 primary formats, which is map and compass challenges, meaning good old paper map, a compass, and a plotter. And then enduro stages, which is more traditional rally, which are using a standard rally road book. And it's either to be on time, like some people will call it TSD rally. So either on time or on route. And actually, if it's on time, you need to be on route. Otherwise, you're not going to be on time. But there are, and sometimes there are checkpoints embedded also into these enduros. So it's these 2 primary formats. And I really think of it as a triathlon of rally. I want people to come out of this rally and have a lot of skills, not just Rebelle skills, but navigation and precision driving skills. So that if you choose to go do, another rally, another adventure somewhere in the world, you've got these skills that will really go with you. There's no GPS, no cell phones, no personal support crews. It is not a spectator event. The course is kept confidential. Competitors don't know what the challenge is until it's presented to them in the morning at 5 a.m. when they come into the tent and retrieve their information. So every day, is a new day. And we also work really hard. It's a hard course to design, very hard course to design and permit. But what's great is that each day, I think, really has its own personality. I mean, Katie and Lisa, I think you would probably agree, from the terrain to the actual challenges themselves. So I would say that that's kind of the overview of the Rebelle Rally format.
Okay, and you design a new track each year, correct?
We do.
So it's a little bit different every time, or it could be a lot different, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I would say quite a bit different from the year before. Just when I thought we had like the greatest course ever the year before, I think this year's course was just absolutely tremendous. And, we really spend a lot of time on that. We feel like it's sort of like a Christmas gift to everyone who's competing. It really, we think about every turn, every vista, every checkpoint, every tool that you're going to use at every checkpoint. So it is pretty interesting. We do return, though, to some iconic locations. Like we finish in Glamis. We finish in the sand dunes every year. If we skipped Glamis, that would be like, doing the Baja 1000, but not in Baja, so, or the Dakar, not in Senegal, which they don't do that
right
in Senegal. But so we do return to some locations, but a lot of times we approach it in such a different way or a different kind of challenge that part of the time people don't even know that they've been there before.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's talk specifically about the 2022 rally that just completed, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, a week and a half ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like forever ago already.
I know. Yeah.
So what do you, as part of the leadership for Rebelle Rally, what do you think went well this season? And what do you think you guys are going to change up, or do you, if anything, that you will do differently in 2023?
We won't say what we're going to change up and do differently in 2023, especially since it's confidential.
Okay.
What's great is I have 126 people on staff, only 9 volunteers. It's a professional, great paid staff. They have to be just as good at the end as they are at the beginning. It's a beatdown, and we work really hard. We always go back and look and say, okay, that was great, but how do we do it even better? And every single person on our team is very, very motivated by always making it better. And I can tell you that I truly believe that the 7th year was absolutely our best rally yet. From the course to the competition, the challenge, our staff and team, we've been together a long time. We have a mantra to not be a dysfunctional family, but behave like a Penske race team where you can almost just look at each other and, you can look
Just
at each other in
know.
the eye and know what you're thinking. We really had that this year. So we will change the route. 2 years ago, we started at the Hoover Dam. This year we started back in Lake Tahoe, but in a different place where we started. We may return to that location because it was so epic. Hopefully you liked it. We were right on the sand. And
It
on
was
the
beautiful.
Tahoe. It's
Stunning.
It was just beautiful.
Yeah.
And the hotel
but
was
I wouldn't
great.
say-
Everything was awesome.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that there's anything we're really willing to reveal that we would do differently.
Fair enough. I understand. Just
We'll
you
take
can
it.
always improve, right? Everything's
We'll
always
take it.
evolving and improving. So
Yes.
we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right.
And
So
it's great because I came from, I own a sports marketing and production company. So I come from the production world. So we've been really able to fuse a lot of different things that we've seen that we do love in other events, and also things that we don't love in other events, to serve as a real kind of guide for what we created. But at this point, we're always just pushing the envelope to, how do we make the course better and better? How do we make the challenge harder, yet attainable?
oh, that's
I heard
awesome.
from a lot of ladies this year that they said this was the hardest in terms of technical off-roading, but then also some of the new twists that were thrown with navigation, with things that had never been done, and a lot of the pieces that different parts of your team wanted to finally incorporate that you were able to make happen because of technology. I thought that was super cool. And Lisa and I both coming from a heavy off-roading background, less navigation, more of that. We were excited. We were like, oh, this is great. Because it was a little bit of a break to just enjoy the terrain for a little while, and let go of all the pressure that was happening and just go wheeling for 20 minutes, which was great. We had such a good time.
Yeah.
And this was yours and Lisa's first year competing in the Rebelle, correct?
Mhm.
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about that, Katie.
Okay. It was our first year, and we've talked to you ladies a little bit before about how we decided to do this. It was my boyfriend's idea originally, and after he said it, I was like, I can't believe I never thought of doing this before. It just never dawned on me. Talked to Lisa about it, and she at first didn't realize what the heck I just asked her to do. And then later on, she was like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? But then she was like, her competitive spirit came out and she said, let's do it. So
Never doubted it.
Yeah, it was great. It was extremely challenging and not in necessarily the ways for us that we were expecting it to be. So we prepped and planned and trained, but in some of the areas that we were already strong in. And so we found through the many different days, the different courses, all the different things we encountered, that we really needed to focus more on practicing with different scales and moving between multiple maps that are in different scales. Because you think about it, you're like, you just line up the longitude and latitude, no big. But Rebelle
It is
doesn't
big.
Very big.
There's big gaps between some of those maps. So you might have to switch between 2 or 3 100 scale maps to a 200 scale map back to a 50. And so there's things that you just pick up that you're like, I never would have thought that we needed to spend time training on that. But now we know. So that was one of the big takeaways.
Yeah, we do that by intentionally, because we make our own maps. And one of the things that I want to see is I want to see people to be able to change their brain. Like, I have 100,000 scale map. This is what that looks like. Here's what that looks like between the map and 3-dimensional space. And
Mhm.
changing that to a 200,000 map and then a 50,000 map is really hard.
Mhm.
Yes,
to
it
do
is.
and wrap your brain around. But
Yes, it
if
is.
you can do that, you become a much better navigator. Definitely become a much better navigator. So, yeah, and it's very interesting. Also, people tend to train at what they're good at. And I always tell people,
Yeah.
train at what you're not good at.
That's right.
Because those things will bite you in the Rebelle.
Yep.
Mhm.
And they did.
So-
they did.
Yeah,
We had two
Learn.
pretty stellar days, and then the rest of them we were like, we'd do really well on something that we did poorly on the day before, but then a new challenge would come and we would just look at each other and be like, ah.
Yeah.
But one thing I think I'm glad I practiced most was, well, not most, but a big portion was learning every single component of my vehicle, every piece, every sound, practicing working on it myself so that I knew exactly what was wrong when we had a breakage. Got the opinions from the mechanics if they felt like it was safe enough, because I don't know that well enough to be like, hey, this super bent tie rod, oh, it'll be fine for one day. I was like, okay, if you think it's cool for one day, we'll run it.
And we did.
So that was a piece I was really glad as a driver that I focused on. So flipping those roles, that'll be something for sure that Lisa focuses on with her Jeep as that piece. So Lisa, you go. I'll keep talking if you let me.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Tell us if was it what you expected, Lisa?
It was everything, and I felt some days I felt really comfortable and prepared, and other days I felt like I don't know what I'm doing. Save me. But I think everybody feels that. I mean, running through all the gamuts of the emotions, your walls that you run into with your knowledge and your prep, and then you've got the flip side where it's just been a phenomenal day. We just felt so right on. Yes, this is doing the right thing. We're doing great. So it's truly the gamut. It surely is. Yeah, I think Katie and I came out, we were, because you hear stories of women coming out and they're like, I need an Uber right now. I need an Uber. I can't do no more. And Katie and I came out even better. And when we got to the airport, we was ready to get in our cars and go home. It's like, oh, I miss you already. And I mean, so we are much stronger that way. So I think this next year will be better for us and easier for us because we've already ran that circle and we did it really well.
So you guys were still speaking at the end of it. That's good.
That's
the whole
positive.
time. That was probably
yeah.
the biggest part for us, was because we've built together for so many years already.
Mm-hmm.
Once you walk someone down a hill where they're about to flip over, you kind of get over those types of emotions much quicker. Whereas some of the teams, they met 6 weeks before, or they didn't necessarily meet
2
or have
weeks before.
train. Yeah. So, or people found out that under pressure, they just don't mesh well. So it was very interesting to meet different ladies and get to talk to them. And some of them, we made friends with, and we're able to help kind of talk to each side and be like, just chill out a little bit, give each other some grace. You're both extremely stressed. So being able to not have to worry about that. I think the thing we were struggling most was with our competitiveness, and not doing well is extremely hard. So it was tough, especially when we missed our first green checkpoint. We were just like, damn, if I can't even get a green checkpoint, what the heck am I doing here?
Right.
But then letting that go very quickly. But the competitiveness is what has followed me most after leaving the rally, is still just kind of replaying and disappointments. But I think once the exhaustion and tiredness passed, now I'm back and I'm like, we did that thing.
That's right.
Awesome.
That's right. And I mean, the day we missed the green, we were like, you know what? We're going to let that go because look where we are and look what we're doing. This is amazing. And we just move forward.
Yeah, we followed you guys.
That's something that people have a really hard time with. And I see that also in women. I've coached thousands of people to drive off road, and I noticed that women, just as a generalization, which is not, it's not everybody. Don't everybody, send me hate mail. It's not always this way. The thing is women tend to judge mistakes as failure and beat themselves up. And you've got to, it's really designed. The Rebelle is designed to put a mirror right up to your strengths and your weaknesses. And you get to unpack them, deal with them. And it's long enough. If this were 3 days, everybody could walk away. Everybody could do this, walk away, and not have to go through that arc of dealing with their stuff. And a lot of people come in and they think that they're going to be really good and competitive right out of the gate, and their expectations are high. But I always say to people, like, if you can't be an expert at something you've never done before. And just because you drive or just because you navigate doesn't mean you know how to compete in this format with all these things. So you really just need to set reasonable expectations. Don't see a mistake as an absolute failure, unless you did something really boneheaded and stupid, yeah, okay, that's okay. But, missing a green checkpoint happens, or not getting it on time, those things happen. But what did you learn? We always usually come in at the end of the night and say, okay, what did you learn? And then apply it to the next day and have reasonable expectations, because that's where teams get into trouble, is having unreasonable expectations or not the same expectations. So they're not matched on their expectations of the rally, and that gets people into trouble. But, how can you not look back when you're a competitive person? It's like, now you just apply it in the future. But you have, if you dwell on a mistake out there and you do not throw it in the back seat, metaphorically, and look through the windshield, you're going to make the next mistake because you're stuck in the past. You're not focused on that next checkpoint or the next challenge, and you're beating yourself up to the point where, and then at that point, you're not being a good teammate. Right. Because you're living in the past in a mistake as opposed to moving forward to the next result.
And that chimed in my head. And I know it chimed in Lisa's head too. Yes. When that moment hit, I was trying to keep driving, and then I was like, I need to stop, take a moment, get out of the car, take my helmet off, breathe for a moment, let all the emotions out, and just like scream at the world. And then I was like, I got back in the car and I was like, okay, let's go.
And we did.
We did.
She got out and did her thing. I stayed in, did my thing. We took like 5 minutes. Okay, done. Let's go.
Yeah. So did you find it hard wearing the helmet all day that long? I mean, was it hard for you?
I wish I would have worn mine more prior, just to get the pads broken in more, because once the pads get broken in, it shapes to your head and it gets comfortable in the right areas, and you don't have chipmunk cheeks anymore. So
I have those. So
yeah. So, by the third day it was great. So that would be the one thing, is if you can wear it and get used to it beforehand and potentially squish those pads in a little bit. But otherwise you get so used to it,
you forget you have it on. It's just natural to have it on.
Yeah. We'd get on the highway and be like, we have 15 miles. And we'd look at each other and be like, it's not worth it. Just leave it on.
Not worth taking it off.
Yeah.
No.
So was there any gear that you guys brought with you that you really thought you were going to need, and then when it came down to it, you never even used it? Or?
Oh, I bet.
I feel like we had too much of some things, like glow sticks or just extra food. I feel like we had more than enough food all week. I mean, my gosh, the food that Drew fixes was just out of this world. You didn't want for anything.
It was much healthier food than I am able to maintain on a every single meal basis. So when I got home and I ate the first bad thing, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lisa, you're the one that brings all the snacks, right?
Usually. Yeah, I'm the snacks with the trail mom thing, but
that trail mix she brought one day hit hard, and I was like, oh my God, this is so perfect.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think I brought too much recovery gear. I'm trying to think of things that actually take up space and
Mhm.
weight. Recovery gear. I had plenty. I could have probably recovered 3 vehicles worth, which
Okay.
was great to have. But at the same time, I don't need 4 soft shackles and 4 hard shackles and 3 snatch blocks. You know, in my head, I was thinking, what if I get stuck in this position? I'm going to have to bury the dead man in the dunes and then figure out how to do that. So recovery gear, toiletries. I brought too many toiletries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
I
see
was
that.
like,
Easy.
I washed my hair
was like,
once
I
in
need
10
to
days.
bring- yeah. I didn't even. I was like, I thought about it, and I had plenty of body wipes and what are they called? Clean Freak. They are excellent. So I really didn't feel too bad, minus my hair. But you
Yeah.
get so dirty every day that even like people I saw that had showered that morning, I saw them an hour later and they were just covered in dust and stuff. So, you know, not extreme by any means, not like you're walking around covered in mud, but,
Right.
you know, it's amazing how many places dust gets that
yeah.
you're just like, I stepped outside for 5 seconds and now I'm covered head to toe in dust.
Well,
Yeah,
I,
it can get very, very dusty out there.
I told her it's like we have an entire ecosystem on the 10th floor
Oh yeah.
between the dirt, the rocks, the grass, the stickers, the whatever. We
Yeah.
had a whole ecosystem on the 10th floor because we collected everything as we went along.
Mhm.
You know, most people pack way too much their first time.
Mhm.
In fact, I'll never forget the first rally. The amount of stuff that came out of people's cars just blew my mind. You really, because it just gets in your way. And
Right.
the rally, everything, it's not about the skills of just like navigating and driving. It's you dropped your pencil for the 100th time underneath your chair. It's you can't, you have so much stuff that you never are going to use, and it's just in your way, and you're having to unpack your car in the evening. And you usually just a little go bag that you put behind your seat. And this is the way I've packed for pretty much every adventure, even globally, just a small carry-on bag of your clothes. Because if you're traveling a long way, what if you fly and you're picking up a vehicle somewhere and you lose your stuff? You want something that stays with you. So a carry-on bag of clothes, a camping bag that, or a waterproof bag that you can put your camping gear in, usually like a down sweater, like some Uggs, your camping pillow, and, a few things that you're going to pack into, a good waterproof bag. And then your go bag, which has, and in the back, you need tools that you know how to use. And she made a really good point about recovery gear. If you are going to do so, to me, there's a difference between getting unstuck and recovery. And you need things that get you unstuck by yourself. You need a battery jumper, like you need things that don't rely on other people, because a lot of times they're not there, or they're in a competition and don't have time necessarily to help. A lot of people help, but you shouldn't rely on that. So a kinetic rope, a toe strap, your soft shackles, hard shackle, and max tracks, and a shovel, and a great tire compressor, and a tire repair kit, and a small tool bag, not a huge tool bag, and you're ready to go. More than that, and then you need the items to pass tech. If you don't pass tech, you don't go on the rally. It's not a lot of items, but you need to have those items, and they're what everybody should have in their car anyway. If you're an overlander, that's hopefully you already have that. But I can tell you that what I've seen in the overland, I've spent a lot of time in the overland industry, and people overpack.
Yeah.
They have a compartment for everything, and it's it just doesn't work that way on the rally. And too much stuff is just honestly a nightmare, right? Wouldn't say it just it gets very frustrating, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You waste time digging for something that you should have right there at your hands.
No,
That
absolutely.
was one thing that I liked actually, but I'm a light packer anyways when it comes to clothes and such. So that was where Lisa and I were talking. And she looked at my bag and she was like, I'm kind of OCD because I forget where I put things. So if everything's very organized, then I can't forget where I put it.
Right.
So she was like, your bag is crazy. Because all my t-shirts were sideways, like in a sideways stack and stuff like that. But
This big,
just like
all
you
of
said,
All very uniform in there.
Yeah.
I had my backpack that also held my water bladder. So I would put it on the back of my seat to use during the day. But then I would just put, you know, the clothes I needed for the next day, my toiletry bag and all that in my bag. And that's all I carried back and forth, which worked out really well because then I just had the one bag and that was it.
And I felt like I did terrible. I mean, I went off the suggested list and it was very hard for me to just like, I just need 4 pairs of pants. I just need 6 shirts.
That's hard
Yeah.
for me. See, that's probably gonna be a challenge for me.
I'm a
Misty's
person
very
hard
light
that
for
takes
me.
this big suitcase
Yeah.
for the weekend. And so that was hard for me. And I'm like, no, I just got to let it go. Just leave it at home. And my bag was like rifled mess. And here's Katie's, just like military precision. I'm like,
Well, you know who I live with too. He's helped me be very precise. So
This is going to sound really terrible, but I wore the same shirt every single day.
Yep.
I've been there.
and you look
And
great
you
in
know
it.
what? It's this t-shirt. And I wore it in Lake Tahoe, and I did not change. I had the chance to change it, and I just said, it's just too hard. You know, and we have a vest, you know, and everybody has a rally vest, which makes life a lot easier. You know?
Yep.
I was cover up all the coffee stains and
Yeah. But
And
by
I
the
was
time we
glad
get
that-
home, you could probably stand it in a corner by itself.
oh yeah.
with the vest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying, mine still smells really good considering I wore it for 8 days because it smells like all of the sagebrush and the different plants we were around that were so strong. So I smelled my hair too after the last day and I was like, oh, my hair actually smells really good. And then I thought maybe it was just I'd gotten used to my own smell. But I took a
Probably
shower,
a little.
just my body, and I was like, okay, it does still smell good. I'm fine.
Yeah. So you mentioned water, your water bladder. Hydration is very important out there, I'm sure.
Yes.
Are there any other things that you guys were really glad that you had with you? Like you're like, oh, thank God we thought to bring this.
It was very nice having a fridge versus trying to put everything in a cooler because then we could have 2 bladders that we use. So one would be in the fridge. So that way you could have some nice cold water. More so when it got hot, just to have something nice and fresh to go snag a drink of. That was something that it's worth the space and the weight that it takes up because it's just so convenient. What do you think, Lisa?
It may sound minuscule, but pencils, highlighters, you know, those I just felt like I couldn't have because it's like every time and calculators. Every time I turn around, it's like, where did my pencil go? Well, I got another one right here. And
you don't have to waste time looking for it.
Yeah. Good pencils.
Mechanical pencils
Nice
that the lid breaks every time you press on it.
Yeah. And a quality lap board for your maps in your lap. A friend of ours there at Pre-Tech gave us a great tip to go to Michael's and get this certain kind of board because what we had was just like a foam board. And we stuck with that piece of wood the whole time. We took it to the hardware store and I asked the guy if he could take a router and cut a hole in it so I could have a handle on it. I mean, we literally flew by the seat of our pants on that board making. It was great.
He was having a really hard time understanding what we needed.
Yeah.
I will say this though. I do not recommend using any type of the wooden boards. And the reason why is because if you have an accident, it will kill you if it's in your lap. So actually, I mean, it really will. It will cut you in half. And so I do recommend, Michael's also has like the needle point boards, you know? So they fold up and they're softer, and you can put your maps in and fold it and make it smaller. So you're not always carrying around a big board.
Right.
I do caution people in training not to use any rigid item. So
yeah, we rounded off with all the edge. I mean, it was like just thin.
That's
and
okay. It doesn't
like,
matter.
That's right.
You have an accident.
You're absolutely right.
You're
absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good point. It can definitely become a projectile. So
yeah. And the problem is you're sitting it in your lap. And you know, and the other thing that happens too, and we see this in the rally, is the drivers don't pay as much attention. Like they forget that they're on public roads with traffic, you know, and they're focused on, you know, kind of like looking at terrain. So, you know, drivers really have to be super aware of their surroundings and what's going on. But yeah, everybody has like especially navigators, they have their setup that, you know, it's just like, it's their setup.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's everything needs its spot. So you don't have to think about, oh, where did I set that? Where did I set that? You just need to be able to grab it and use it.
I mean, we've overlanded full time for almost 3 years, and that's kind of where we ended up, you know, where everything has its place. You know exactly where it is. You don't have to move a bunch of things to get to it, but it was a whole process, you know, like Emily mentioned earlier, you overpack when you go on whether it's a short trip or a long trip or doing a rally or whatever, people have a tendency to overpack. And then, you know, there are a few times where you're like, oh man, I really wish I would have brought that, but it's very rare. And I find more often people are like, man, I really wish I wouldn't have packed so much, because now I've got more to move around, more to unpack, more to put away when I get back. And, you know, it just kind of ends up getting in the way.
One thing that a few things that are critical is your sleeping pad, your sleeping bag, and your pillow. So because when you sleep, you need to sleep well and you need to be comfortable. And people who, you know, I've seen people bring little small sleeping pads, but then pack a whole bunch of other stuff. And you go, no, it's the opposite. You know, have a great sleeping pad. It's your sleep. Even if you only sleep an hour, you want to sleep well for that hour.
Right.
Yeah. Sleep is very important to kind of recharge your batteries.
Yeah. So I just tell people, don't scrimp. If you're going to spend the money, the nice thing about the rally is you don't have to go buy a bunch of new stuff. You know, people go out and buy new things. It's like, it's all going to be trashed. And so, like you said, dust gets and everything. It's never going to be the same. You know, like you don't need new stuff. You need stuff that you know how to use and that you're super adept with and that makes you really comfortable. You know, having some things that feel comforting out there it's really nice to have.
Yeah, because I had like my little blow up pillow, and my creature comfort was taking my own pillowcase that I usually use, is just putting it in that and having my own pillowcase instead of just that blow up pillow made a difference. So that's exactly right.
Yeah, I definitely use a sleeping pad. I have not been able to sleep on a tent, whether it's a rooftop tent or a ground tent or whatever, without one. I just can't. My back will not be happy with me. So I understand that completely.
Yeah.
So Katie and Lisa, you guys have a little announcement for 2023, don't you?
We do. We do. We're going back, and we're going in Orange Crush, and I'm going to be the driver and she's the navigator.
Awesome.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yep.
Going in her JLU Sport 2018, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Nice.
James had to swallow that one down because we're a heavy Toyota family. So he was like, I can't believe you're going to compete in a Jeep. And I was like, you just got to chill out. It's fine.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
There seems to be quite the Jeep Toyota rivalry.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It's
There is.
kind of fake, but it's kind of real. Like it's people are sarcastic and funny about it, but then under their breath, they're like, but really, I hate Jeeps.
Yes, girl. Yes,
Right.
girl.
It's a
that's
thing for sure.
yeah, like for us, because Andrea Bullard told us that we were both the first women from our state. So Katie's the first woman from Kansas, and I'm the first woman from Missouri to compete in the Rebelle. And that we were being a team together, with her being a Toyota person and me being a Jeep person, her the Kansas side of Kansas City, and I'm the Missouri side of Kansas City. We just had so many opposites, but we were really good together. Yeah.
That was the other one you threw out there. You were like, I'm old enough to be her mother.
Oh, that's true too. Yes.
But you know what? You were such a good team. I mean, I get to see it all.
Yeah.
You know, the good, the bad, the you know, all the things. And you were such a good team, and you always smiled. Even I'm sure, even when you were frustrated, you know, we're not curing cancer out there.
Right.
A good teammate and a good team relationship makes or breaks the rally. You have a much easier rally with a great teammate. And that doesn't necessarily mean like being, you know, super competitive or winning. It's someone who you can problem solve in the car with and, you know, laugh at some things and talk through things and be really honest with each other and, you know how to communicate. So, yeah, the most important thing you can take with you is a great teammate. Yeah,
That's
a well-prepared vehicle
right.
that's ready for it, and knowing how to drive it, knowing how to navigate. But boy, your teammate is just everything.
Yeah, there were definitely teams that I think they had lots of skill, but they found out early on that they just did not mesh, and it was very challenging. And it was hard to watch too, because you could tell that they were friends, but they just under pressure. And in that situation, it was just too much, which it's hard to see that. But at the same time, you're in a competition. So you can only help so much before you're like, okay, we got to go.
Yeah.
I hope you're okay.
We'll see you later, hopefully.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. I hope we see both of you still in the same car later.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, Arla, I think we have an announcement as well, don't we?
I reckon we do.
Why don't you go ahead and announce it?
We are also throwing in for the Rebelle Rally for 2023. We have already submitted all of our stuff and started the process. So I will be driving in my 2018 Jeep Wrangler Sport. JK and Misty will be the navigator this year.
Congratulations.
You guys will
and maybe
not
we'll
regret
start
it.
up the following year with the Toyota. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's so exciting.
We'll see how this year goes.
Yeah.
And then we'll
If
see.
we survive this year, we'll see.
I'm so excited for you ladies. You're going to have so much fun, and all the different adventures that you've been on already. I think just from my own experience and it still being really fresh, I think you two are going to have your boundaries pushed, but you are such a good team together already. And you're so funny. I can't wait to be out in the middle of somewhere and Arla just cracks a really obnoxious joke and just lights up the whole space around us. And then Misty comes back with some snarky, like, God, Arla.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I just can't wait to compete with you guys and share the experience. And
Same. We wheel together, so we kind of know how that goes. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun, and you know we're best friends, and we do this podcast together, and I'm kind of excited about how it will test our friendship and bring us closer together. And you know, I think that our bond is only going to get stronger, and I feel like if we're still speaking at the end of it, then we're good to go. You know, so
we're pretty brutally honest with each other right now.
We're already brutally honest. So
yeah, the one thing that I'll just give a little bit of advice. I mean, I've done rallies with, you know, my best friend, and I've done with people I didn't know at all. And what happens with sometimes people who are very good friends is you feel like there's a lot on the line whenever you need to talk about something that's harder, because there is a lot on the line. Your friendship is on the line. So I think you need to be very, very honest with what your expectations are. If you want, one of you wants to get the first shower, but one of you wants to win, that's totally at odds with what's going on out there. The other thing too is I think have reasonable expectations, and usually around a score does not work. If you have a tendency of like, I want to get this score, the Rebelle tends to be this sort of Wizard of Oz journey. And usually some of the lessons that you need to learn get handed to you, whether you may not want it or not. And so I think it's really great to take a learning that, take each day and apply your learnings to the next day. If you get caught up in the score, I can tell you, you can go from, you can end up last place really easily. And if that's going to make or break your, demeanor or mood or, that's going to be really, really hard and challenging on you. So setting some really good, attainable goals that are not based on score, because you haven't done the competition yet. So it's hard to, when people say, well, I want to score in the top half on my first year, it's like, but you don't even know who you're competing against and how much experience they have, not in the rally, because there are a lot of return competitors. But the other thing too is like, have a safe word. It's easier to.
We already do. No,
if you have people, that's great. You spend time in the car, say it. Don't say anything for 5 minutes or whatever, because it's really harder. It's really hard to apologize once you've said something, and you can't really take it back. The person has heard it. So, at least if you're good friends, you already know, like at 3:00, and I get hangry. It's like, I get spacey. It's like, I start screaming, knowing those things is really important. That not having to say you're sorry is a great place to start.
Yeah. I know the first 5 hours of each day, don't talk to Arla and we'll be fine.
No, you're going to have a problem.
Just kidding.
You're going to have a problem if you don't talk.
It's not 5, it's 3.
Okay, 3.
It's 3 hours.
Arla, you're going to have to get over that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to talk. You're gonna have to talk it, but within the first 5 hours for sure.
Extra happy pills.
First 5 minutes.
Yeah, take all the happy pills. I took all my happy pills. It was great.
Girl, I will be loaded up on my happy pills.
That's why I was smiling all the time.
Our safe word is jelly bean.
Ours is Pop-Tarts.
Awesome. Pop-Tarts. I love Pop-Tarts.
Yep, ours is Pop-Tarts.
Yeah. No talkie before coffee. That's my husband right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows. He knows the rule.
Well, what's good is the first thing that most people do in the morning is they go. The coffee is the first thing ready in the morning.
And it is good coffee.
Yes.
I don't drink coffee.
Good coffee.
Rebelle Rally blend.
Coffee. Yeah. Anything is possible
so
after coffee. So that'll be good.
Yes.
Can we make iced coffee?
We have really great cold brew.
Yep. Okay, we'll be all right.
But there's no ice.
Yeah. I don't care.
Unless you have an ice maker. Everybody always asks that. It's like, when are we gonna have ice on the rally? Never.
Nope.
Bougie.
I think we'll have to borrow Tony's fridge. Doesn't it make ice, Arla?
Yeah, his Dometic does make ice.
You can usually bribe people that have ice for some ice.
Yeah.
Trade some goods. Whatever those goods might be.
Tony's asking if it's is it trail rated coffee? The brand trail rated coffee.
No, it's Cafe Moto.
Oh,
it's really good.
It's the Rebelle Rally blend that they blended for us.
Nice.
It's really good.
Yeah. James was saying that I shouldn't open mine and I should only reserve that coffee for when Rebelles come over. And I was like, coffee doesn't last that long though. Like it's going to get stale eventually. And he was like, well, we used to do that with whiskey. And I was like, I feel like we might need to make some Rebelle Rally whiskey or bourbon or something. That might have to start a trend sometime, maybe.
Some mead.
I'm sure that, oh my gosh, I just spaced on his name.
Busby?
Busby. I know Busby would love that.
Busby would love that.
Busby would love it.
And you always want to keep the fuel guys happy. So
yes.
Not a bad idea.
Yes. Yeah. You guys are fantastic.
Yep.
Rebelle Rally homemade wine? Question mark?
I don't know if we'll have time to brew that before we go.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No.
Tony makes some good homemade wine.
Really?
I mean, terrible homemade wine.
I don't share
Can I
one.
ask you guys questions?
Yes.
May I?
Of
I'm a
course.
Pisces, and I love long walks on the beach.
Yeah. I like sitting on the couch with my dogs. It's my favorite thing to do these days.
Oh.
What made you guys finally take the plunge to compete?
Arla, you want to take that one or you want me to?
Go ahead, babe.
So I think we first learned about it really when we started talking to you guys and had you on the show. And over the last several months, since more, we've kind of tossed around the idea, and we've kind of watched you guys prepare, and we followed you very closely during the rally. And we were at Arla's house last week, and we were just talking about it again, and said, you know what? I think this would be something really, really awesome for both of us to do. Arla's going to be a little bit, she's hitting a milestone age this year. And
For the love.
and I think that would be an awesome way to celebrate that and celebrate our friendship. And I love how, I love from what I've seen, how the rally empowers women and really just, I think, builds that confidence. Some of the same reasons why we started this podcast and why we got into overlanding and off-roading is, the biggest things that I've heard from other women is that it improves their communication skills and improves self-confidence, their critical thinking skills and things like that. So anything that does that for women, I'm all about. And I think that we both just really are looking forward to the challenge. We know we're going to be challenged for sure. We know we've got a lot of work to do before the actual rally because we're out of shape and we're old and we're tired and we're going to have to, do a lot. But I think it'll be a lot of fun. And there's nobody else I'd rather do it with. So
Same.
That's great.
Yeah.
Got to bring sexy back.
Great when you have a goal. It's this tangible thing that you really can focus on, and it's skills that you have and love. But now to really apply it to something, it's a great excuse to train.
Yes.
Yeah. Great excuse.
We can tell our husbands, sorry, we got to go train. See you later. You guys got the
We
kids.
got to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Well, and
We got to
Katie
go
and
out
I
wheeling.
Katie and I can both vouch for this. You start thinking so much about the rally that your life is before or after.
Yeah.
I'll do that after the rally's over, or I can't do that until, because I got to do this now for the rally. So yeah, your life will become before and after.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then you'll be surprised how much it impacts you, not just the rally itself, but everything that comes along with it. And the people
friendships
that you
make
and the opportunities that come your way if you want them. It's made me make some very big decisions in my life about where I want to go and what I want to do that 5 years ago I never would have imagined being on this path. A lot of it's because of people like you and the people at Kansas Rocks, and the local community that we have here in Kansas City is just so huge and strong in the Midwest in general too, with Arkansas and all you guys. But the actual preparation and getting to come on and talk to you on the podcast and other podcasts and talking to sponsors and meeting all of these great connections through the friend network that we already have. That's the other part that has really impacted me and, set me up for my next set of goals that are outside of the rally for the next year to see where I end up. Who knows? We'll see.
And I have a little side note. Lisa, you have a big announcement for something that's happening within the next year. Are we allowed to talk about that, or?
Sure.
Is that already a done deal, or?
What, retiring?
Yeah.
Yeah. 6.5 more months and I'm out.
A big milestone.
Yep. 23 years in education, retiring from school, got to do the Rebelle, and I had a grandbaby while on the Rebelle, my first. So I was fortunate enough to be able to use one of the Rebelle scoring guides or judges' cell phone to call home to make sure that we had the baby and everything was great. And so and I've got another one coming in January. So this is a huge year for me. So yeah, a lot of life changes and all for the amazing. Yeah.
That's great.
That's great.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
thank you
excited.
all so much for being on the show tonight. I had a great time chatting with you. I'm so excited to be competitors in the Rebelle Rally this upcoming year.
Yep.
And I'm excited to do it with you guys. I can't wait to see you guys again and just have an amazing time. Thank you so much, Emily, for being on here and talking to us about the rally. And
Yeah.
we love you all. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you, Emily,
Thank you.
for creating
And
this.
congrats, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Stoked for you.
Yeah.